Okay, so you're prepping for a Hand Brick Moulder interview, and that's not exactly something you hear every day, right? It's a pretty unique role.
Yeah.
We're going to take a deep dive into the RoleCatcher Career and Interview guides today to help you really stand out in that interview. Think of it like this. We're going to help you craft the perfect answers. Just like Hand Brick Moulder crafts those, well, bricks.
Yeah.
They're the essential building blocks of so many structures.
Exactly.
And it's fascinating, right? They use these hand molding tools to shape and create these heat-resistant bricks, and even pipes sometimes. It's a real blend of precision and artistry.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
It is, and it's a craft that's becoming even more relevant today. The construction industry is always evolving, and interviewers, they want to see that you understand that. They're looking for hand brick molders who can adapt, who are passionate, and ready to be a part of that evolution.
Okay, so let's jump right into it. The first question from the RoleCatcher Interview Guide. What motivated you to become a hand brick molder? Now, this one might seem simple at first glance, but they're looking for more than just, oh, it seemed like a decent job, right?
Right. It's definitely more than that. You need to show a real connection to the craft, a genuine passion for it. Remember that section in the career guide that talked about the pros and cons?
Yeah.
It mentions that it can be physically demanding work. Use that.
Okay.
You can say something like, I know it's tough, but that's part of what draws me to it. I want to master these techniques. Seeing my bricks become part of something lasting, that's what's truly satisfying to me.
Ooh, I like that. Tying your passion to the challenge of the work, very smart.
Yeah.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really help you out. Imagine practicing that answer with the video feature.
Yeah.
And getting AI feedback on your delivery.
Exactly. It takes you to a whole new level of prep.
Totally. Okay, so next up, question 2. This one focuses on quality. How do you ensure the quality of the bricks you mold? So clearly, it's about more than just giving the finished product a quick glance. What are some key points to hit on here?
Well, you want to walk them through the entire process, really, from start to finish, and be detailed about it. Remember the scope section of the guide. It really emphasizes precision and attention to detail.
Right.
You can say something like, before I even begin, I always inspect the molds for any imperfections. Then I carefully check the consistency of the mixture. You want to make sure it's just right. And when I'm removing the bricks, I'm very cautious to avoid any damage. And of course, every single brick gets a thorough inspection for cracks or anything like that.
So it's all about those small but crucial steps. It shows you understand what it takes to make a quality product.
Exactly. And you can even mention specific tools from the what they do section, to really highlight your expertise.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, for instance, you could talk about using a caliper to verify the dimensions of each brick.
The tools of the trade. Always impressive.
Right.
Okay, question 3 throws a bit of a curveball. How do you keep up with the latest trends and technologies in the brick manufacturing industry? Now, this one seems a little tricky for such a, traditional craft.
It's all about adaptability. The industry is constantly evolving. The Career Guide's Technology Advances section actually talks about 3D printed molds.
Oh, wow. 3D printed mold.
Yeah. So you could say something like, I'm really fascinated by how technology is impacting the field. Like, with those 3D printed molds for custom designs, I make sure to stay updated through industry publications and forums.
I love that. It shows your forward-thinking blending tradition with tech. That's a winning combination for sure. And, with RoleCatcher, I could even use the AI to find articles about those trends.
Absolutely. Stay ahead of the game.
Okay, question 4. This one dives into problem solving. Can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a problem with a brick mold? And honestly, everyone dreads these tell me at a time questions. So any tips to make it less intimidating?
Sure. The best approach is to choose a specific example and really break down your process, walk them through it step by step. So let's say you had a mold that wasn't releasing the bricks cleanly.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that can happen.
You could say, I noticed the bricks were sticking, so I immediately started troubleshooting. I checked if the mold was properly oiled and cleaned, but the issue turned out to be the consistency of the mixture. By adjusting the water content, I was able to solve the problem.
So it's all about showing them you can analyze the situation, identify the root cause, and then, implement a solution.
Exactly.
And I bet I could use RoleCatcher to practice how I explain that process.
Yeah.
Maybe even get some AI feedback on how clearly I'm articulating it.
Exactly. It's like having a coach right in your pocket.
Okay, now on to question 5. How do you prioritize tasks when working on multiple projects simultaneously?
The juggling act.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know if you can handle it.
They want to know if you can handle multiple deadlines without dropping any balls.
Right. Well, the key here is structure. You can say something like, I always start by creating a prioritized list, and I break down larger tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. And then I use a digital calendar to schedule everything, track my progress, just make sure everything stays on schedule.
So it's about showing you have a system, not just claiming you're good at multitasking.
Exactly. You have a method.
Okay, question 6. This one's crucial. How do you ensure the safety of yourself and others while working with brick molds? This is about showing your commitment to a safe work environment.
Absolutely. Safety is paramount.
Especially in a hands-on role like this. So what should someone emphasize here?
Start by highlighting your dedication to following all safety protocols and guidelines, never cutting corners.
Right.
Then mention specific practices like wearing the appropriate PPE, using proper lifting techniques, keeping a clean workspace to prevent accidents.
So something like, I always wear my safety goggles and gloves. I'm very mindful of using proper lifting techniques to protect my back.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly aware of my surroundings, to prevent any accidents.
Exactly. You've showcased a proactive approach to safety, and that's really important to interviewers.
Okay, so on to question 7. This one's all about teamwork. Can you describe a time when you had to work collaboratively with others in a team environment? More than just saying, I'm a team player, right? We need a real-life example.
Definitely. You need a concrete example. So let's say you were part of a team and you were producing custom-shaped bricks.
Right.
You could say something like, we had to experiment with different clay mixtures and drying techniques. I was responsible for testing the mixtures while others focused on molding and firing. Through open communication, we adjusted our approach based on the results, and ultimately we delivered a really high-quality product.
So highlighting your role, the challenges, and how collaboration led to success. Love it. And hey, maybe I could even use RoleCatcher's AI to help me word that anecdote for maximum impact.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's all about presenting your experience effectively.
Makes sense. We'll continue unpacking more questions in part 2 of this deep dive. Stay tuned. We've got more insights coming your way to help you absolutely rock that Hand Brick Moulder interview.
Absolutely. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into acing that Hand Brick Moulder interview. We're going to keep exploring those insightful questions from RoleCatcher's guides. Ready to jump back in?
Absolutely. I feel like we're really getting a sense of what interviewers are looking for in a skilled hand brick molder.
So let's get right to it. Question 8 from the guide asks, how do you maintain the proper humidity and temperature levels in the brick molding area? This might seem technical, but it's super important for quality.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even small changes in the environment can mess up the drying process, right? You could end up ruining a whole batch of bricks.
Exactly. And the RoleCatcher Career Guide actually talks about this in the work environment section. You need to show them you understand those factors and how to control them.
Okay, makes sense.
So you could start by explaining why it's so crucial to maintain the right humidity and temperature. Too much humidity can lead to warping, while too little can cause the bricks to crack.
So it's about showing you understand the science behind how bricks dry properly.
Right. And you can even mention specific equipment from the what they do section, like hygrometers to measure humidity, thermometers for temperature, maybe even ventilation systems or dehumidifiers. You could say, I understand that humidity and temperature directly impact the drying process, so I would carefully monitor them using hygrometers and thermometers and make adjustments using tools like dehumidifiers or fans as needed.
Wow, that makes you sound like you're really on top of things. You're not just molding bricks, you're creating the perfect environment for them.
Exactly. Now let's move on to a question that kind of bridges tradition and technology. How do you ensure that the bricks you mold are consistent in shape and size?
Consistency. That's what sets a true craftsman apart, right? It's about taking pride in producing those uniform, high-quality results every single time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the entry-level example profile in the career guide actually highlights a hand brick molder who is super meticulous about checking every single detail.
Oh, cool.
So you want to take a similar approach. When you answer this question, detail the steps involved and really emphasize precision at each stage. Mention using measuring tools to verify dimensions, templates, or guides to maintain that uniformity. And of course, carefully inspecting each brick for any deviations.
So it's all about showcasing your eye for detail and that commitment to accuracy. You're not just molding bricks, you're crafting them with care.
Exactly. Now let's tackle a question that often throws people off. How do you troubleshoot problems with the brick mold machine? This one can be tricky because it requires a blend of technical know-how and problem-solving skills.
It's like those moments when you know something's off, but you can't quite figure out what it is. So how do you show them you can handle those unexpected challenges?
It's all about demonstrating a systematic approach to troubleshooting. Instead of panicking, you're taking a calm and methodical approach to figure things out.
Right.
Start by highlighting how familiar you are with the machine and its various components. You could even reference some details from the Technology Advances section of the career guide.
Okay, I see.
And then describe the steps you would take to identify the problem, from checking for loose connections to inspecting the hydraulic system for any issues.
So instead of just guessing, you're walking them through a logical process.
Right. You could say something like, if the machine isn't functioning properly, I would first consult the manual and check the power source and connections. Then I would systematically inspect each component, like the hydraulic system, for leaks or pressure issues. If needed, I'd escalate the issue to a technician while continuing to troubleshoot within my expertise.
It's like you're a detective using your skills to solve the mystery of the malfunctioning machine.
Exactly. And remember, you can use RoleCatcher to research common machine issues beforehand, just to be extra prepared.
It's like having a secret weapon for interview prep. Speaking of preparation, question 5 dives into a skill that's essential for any weight brace. Hand Brick Moulder. How do you prioritize tasks when working on multiple projects simultaneously? It's the classic juggling act of deadlines and deliverables.
Right. This is where your organizational skills really shine. Think about how you structure your work. Maybe draw some inspiration from the daily tasks section in the career guide. Do you use a to-do list, a project management app, a color-coded calendar? Whatever your method is, explain how you break down tasks, assess urgency, and allocate your time effectively.
So instead of just saying you're a multitasking master, you're giving them concrete examples of your system.
Exactly. Something like, I start by listing all the tasks, and then I prioritize them based on deadlines, the complexity of the task, and the impact it has on other team members' workflow.
It shows you're organized and have a plan.
Right. Now let's shift gears to safety. Question 6 asks, how do you ensure the safety of yourself and others while working with brick molds? And this isn't just about knowing the rules, it's about showcasing a genuine commitment to safety as a core value.
Absolutely. The career guide even mentions some potential hazards like dust and high temperatures.
Exactly. So start by emphasizing that following safety protocols is non-negotiable for you. Go beyond the basics. Mention specific practices like always wearing the right PPE, using proper lifting techniques to prevent back injuries, keeping your workspace clean and organized.
So it's about taking proactive steps, not just reacting to hazards.
Right. You could say, I'm really meticulous about wearing my safety gear even for simple tasks. I double-check that equipment is grounded, that the workspace is clear of trip hazards, and I always use proper lifting techniques and never hesitate to ask for assistance if something's too heavy.
It shows you're thinking ahead and prioritizing everyone's well-being.
Exactly. Now let's wrap up this part with a question that delves into teamwork. Can you describe a time when you had to work collaboratively with others in a team environment? This is your chance to showcase those interpersonal skills.
We touched on teamwork earlier, but this question seems to want a more detailed anecdote. It's not enough to just say, I'm a team player. What kind of story would really impress them?
Think back to a project where teamwork was crucial. You could draw inspiration from the teamwork section of the career guide. Describe the project, your role, the challenges, and highlight how your collaboration contributed to the success. Focus on your communication problem solving and your ability to work towards a common goal.
Okay, so maybe something like, we were tasked with creating a large batch of custom bricks for a historical restoration project. My focus was on mixing and preparing the clay while others handled the molding and firing. We had to constantly communicate to ensure consistency and adapt to some unexpected challenges, like we had to adjust the drying time based on the weather conditions. But in the end, we delivered a beautiful and historically accurate product, all thanks to our teamwork.
That's a great example. You've clearly shown your ability to contribute effectively to a team and achieve a shared goal.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Exactly. Now, before we move on to our final set of questions, I want to remind you about the power of RoleCatcher.
Right. It's not just about the information. It's about having the tools to really shine in that interview. Their AI-powered feedback can help you refine your answers and how you deliver them. It's like having a personal coach.
Absolutely. Take advantage of those resources. We'll be back with part 3 to explore even more insightful questions and give you the strategies you need to ace that Hand Brick Moulder interview. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're in the home stretch now, wrapping up our Hand Brick Moulder interview prep, and we've saved some of the most interesting questions for last.
I'm ready. We've already covered so much, from showcasing passion to those technical skills and even safety and teamwork. What else can we give our listeners to really impress those interviewers? Well, let's jump right into question 9. How do you troubleshoot problems with the brick mold machine? This is about more than just basic maintenance. They want to see you handle those unexpected issues and keep production running smoothly.
Yeah, this one could definitely make someone nervous. It's a combo of technical know-how and problem-solving skills, right? It's not just knowing how the machine works, but knowing what to do when it doesn't.
Exactly. And that's why it's such a great chance to impress them. They want to know you're not just an operator, but a thinker, someone who can, analyze, diagnose, and come up with a solution.
Okay, so where do you even start with something like this? There are probably tons of things that could go wrong with a machine, right?
Right. The key is to show them you have a system, a way to troubleshoot methodically. So you don't just start listing random problems, you walk them through how you think it through.
Makes sense.
You could say something like, if I had a problem with the machine, the first thing I'd do is check the operator's manual for error codes or troubleshooting tips for that specific issue.
Okay, so you're showing them you're resourceful and know where to find reliable info, but what if the manual doesn't have the answer?
Then it's time to use those analytical skills. You could say, I'd start with the obvious things. Is it plugged in? Are there any loose connections or blockages, anything like that? Then I check the hydraulic system. Is that working right? I would just rule out each possible cause one by one.
Like a detective solving a mystery. Love it. And wouldn't this be a good time to mention some of those technical details from the Technology Advances section of the Career Guide?
Definitely. You could just casually add, of course, with the newer machines, with all those automated features, you might need to check the sensors or software settings too.
Shows you're up to date on tech, even in a traditional field like brickmaking. I could even use RoleCatcher's AI to research those newer technologies and some troubleshooting tips ahead of time.
Preparation is key. Now let's move on to something crucial in any production environment. How do you prioritize tasks when working on multiple projects simultaneously? It's all about those organizational skills and managing your workload effectively.
The multitasking question, it never goes away. But for a hand brick molder, it's got to be super important, right? I mean, think about all those potential bottlenecks and deadlines in a busy production setting.
You're right. They want to see you can handle the pressure of juggling all those responsibilities without sacrificing quality or efficiency.
So how do you answer that without just saying the same old, I'm a great multitasker?
Show them you have a system. Do you use a to-do list, a project management app, color-coded calendar? Whatever it is, explain how you break things down, figure out what's urgent, and allocate your time.
Okay, so they could say, when I've got multiple projects going, I start by making a list of all the tasks, then I figure out the priority based on deadlines, how complicated they are, and how they affect the rest of the team's workflow.
Perfect. It's structured and logical. You could even mention specific techniques like time blocking or the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, I love the Pomodoro technique.
Yeah.
Those focused work sprints with breaks. I use that all the time. Okay, back to the brickyard. What's next?
Let's talk about quality. Question 11 asks, how do you ensure that the bricks you mold are consistent in shape and size? Attention to detail is key here.
Absolutely. Consistency is everything in brick making. Those bricks have got to fit together perfectly to build strong structures. One wonky brick can mess up a whole wall.
You got it. So when you answer this one, you want to show them you're a craftsman who takes pride in producing uniform, high-quality results every time.
Gotcha. So our listener could walk them through the process step by step. Something like, first, I make sure the mold is totally clean and prepped, make sure it's level and there's no debris. Then I carefully fill it with the clay mixture, make sure it's spread out evenly, no air pockets.
Perfect. You're highlighting that precision and attention to detail right from the start. Don't forget those specific tools, too, like the tamping tool or strike-off board for a nice smooth surface.
Right, showing them, the techniques for getting consistent results, not just winging it. What about after the brick is molded?
Then it's inspection time. You could say, once the brick is dry, I check each one with a caliper to make sure the dimensions are right, and a straight edge to see if it's warped or uneven. I'm not happy until every brick meets the highest standards.
Awesome. You've shown them you're all about quality control from beginning to end. Now, we've talked a lot about the technical stuff, but what about passion?
You're right, technical skills are important, but passion sets the truly great hand brick molders apart. It's what pushes them to learn and improve and be proud of their work.
And you can't fake that in an interview. It's got to be genuine. So how can someone weave that passion into their answers, even when it's about technical stuff?
It's all about connecting those technical details to the bigger picture. So when you're talking about quality control, you could say something like, I know these bricks are going to be used to build homes, schools, hospitals. I want every brick I make to be strong and durable so they create safe, lasting structures.
That's a great point. You've taken it beyond just the technical and made it about craftsmanship and purpose and contributing to something bigger.
Exactly. That's the kind of answer that will stick with them. All right, as we wrap up our Hand Brick Moulder interview prep, I want to leave you with one last thought.
I'm listening. What's the best advice you'd give someone walking into that interview room?
Be yourself, let your passion shine through, and show them you're not just looking for a job. You want to be a part of something that's been around for centuries.
Love it. It's not just about giving the right answers. It's about showing your enthusiasm and how much you care. And remember, RoleCatcher is there to help you every step of the way. They've got the resources and AI tools to perfect your answers, build your confidence, and really put your best foot forward.
So go out there, ace that interview, and build an amazing career as a hand brick molder.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of hand brick molding. We hope these insights have helped, and we wish you the best of luck in your job search.
Remember, you've got the skills, the knowledge, and the passion to succeed. Go out there and build something amazing.